Story No. 1. There are things families don't talk about. Not because they're shameful necessarily, but because talking about them makes them more real, and sometimes keeping something unreal is the only way to keep living normally inside the same four walls. My family had one of those things. We called it the visitor. Not out loud, we never said the word out loud. It was understood between my mother, my older sister, and me through a system of looks and small signals that developed without any of us ever sitting down to create it. A particular look when a door moved on its own. A slight pause before entering a room. An unspoken agreement never to be the last one downstairs after dark. The house was a 2-story colonial in a quiet neighborhood. We moved in when I was 4. The visitor, as far as I can tell, was there before us. It didn't do dramatic things. That's what I want to be clear about, because when people hear haunted house, they imagine slamming doors and writing on walls and objects flying across rooms. It wasn't like that. The visitor was subtle. Patient. It did small things. Lights that had been off when you left a room would be on when you came back. A chair at the kitchen table would be pulled out in the morning when everyone was certain it had been pushed in the night before. Footsteps. Not heavy. Not threatening. Just the ordinary sound of someone walking, coming from the hallway when everyone in the house was accounted for. And sometimes you would simply feel it standing near you, not behind you, near you. The particular awareness of proximity that you get when another person is close. Standing in the kitchen washing dishes and feeling with complete certainty that someone was standing 2 feet to your left. Turning to look and finding nothing. My mother never acknowledged it directly. If my sister or I brought up something strange, she'd offer a practical explanation. The house settling, a draft, we must have been mistaken. But she slept with her bedroom light on every single night for the 18 years we lived there. She never explained why. The clearest experience I had was when I was 12. I woke up in the middle of the night needing water. I walked down the hallway to the bathroom, filled a cup, drank it. On my way back to my room, I passed the top of the stairs and looked down into the living room below out of habit, the way you do in a dark house, scanning automatically. There was someone sitting in the armchair by the window. Just sitting, facing the window, not the room. I could see the shape clearly, a person, seated, still. The posture was calm, relaxed even. I stood at the top of the stairs for a long moment, long enough that I was certain I wasn't still half asleep, certain of what I was seeing. Then I went back to my room, got into bed and pulled the covers up. I didn't scream. I didn't wake my mother. I just went back to bed. That's what I mean about adapting. By 12 years old, seeing the visitor was not an emergency. It was just a thing that happened in our house. I moved out at 18 for college. My sister left a year later. My mother sold the house when I was 22. At her moving day, when the house was empty and we were doing the final walkthrough, she paused in the doorway of the living room. She stood there for a moment looking at the armchair, the same one that had been there my entire childhood, the one the new owners were inheriting with the house. I asked her what she was thinking. She said, "I hope it's kind to them." It was the only direct reference she ever made. In 18 years, one sentence. I think about that sentence a lot. The specific word she chose. Not, "I hope they don't notice it." Not, I hope it leaves them alone. Kind. She hoped it would be kind to them. Which tells me that in all those years of pretending it wasn't there, she had formed some kind of opinion about its character. I've never asked her what she meant. Some questions feel like they should stay unasked. Story No. 2. My father was in the hospital for 3 weeks following a surgery that had complications. He recovered. He's fine now. But those 3 weeks were some of the hardest of my life, and not entirely because of my father's condition. The room next to his was occupied for the first week by a man I never learned the name of. I only saw him once, through the open door as I passed an older man, slight, lying very still with the bed reclined. The curtain was usually drawn. The room was usually quiet. The nurses went in and out like they did with every room, and I thought nothing of it. On the 5th day of my father's stay, I arrived in the morning to find the room next door empty. Stripped bed, cleaned surfaces, the particular blankness of a hospital room between occupants. I assumed the man had been discharged, recovered, and sent home. I didn't ask. That evening around 9 p.m. I was sitting with my father while he slept. The ward was quiet. The lights in the hallway had been dimmed for the night. I was reading on my phone, half watching the door out of habit. A man walked past the doorway. Slowly. Not the purposeful walk of hospital staff. Not the shuffling walk of a patient with an IV stand. Just a slow, even walk, like someone taking a stroll. He was older, slight. He glanced into my father's room as he passed. I recognized him. It was the man from the room next door. I thought perhaps I'd been wrong about him leaving. Perhaps he'd been moved to another room, was doing a late-night walk for circulation. They encourage that, after certain procedures. I went back to my phone. About 20 minutes later, one of the night nurses came in to check my father's vitals. She was a woman I'd spoken with several times over the week. Calm, efficient, easy to talk to. While she was noting something on her tablet, I mentioned that I'd seen the man from next door walking the hallway, and that I was glad he seemed well enough to be up. She stopped writing. She looked at me with an expression I didn't immediately understand. Not alarm, something more careful than that. She asked me what time I'd seen him. I told her, around 9:15. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said that the patient in that room had passed away earlier that afternoon, around 4 p.m. The family had been notified. The room had been cleared. I told her I understood that, but I'd definitely seen someone in the hallway matching his description. She said very gently that the hallway had been empty most of the evening, that she'd been at the nursing station with a direct sight line to that corridor for the past 3 hours. She finished with my father's chart and left. She didn't bring it up again. I sat in that room for another 2 hours before I felt comfortable enough to leave for the night. I used that time to think of every rational explanation available to me. Wrong person. Trick of the light. Exhaustion. I hadn't been sleeping well. Another patient who resembled him. I've held on to those explanations because they're the only ones that make the world work the way it's supposed to. But I keep coming back to the moment he passed the doorway. The way he glanced into the room. Not at me, at my father. And the expression on his face, and I want to be careful here, because I only saw it for a second and I was tired and the light was dim. But the expression I remember looked like reassurance, like the specific look a person gives when they want to communicate, everything is going to be all right. My father made a full recovery. The doctors called it remarkable given the complications. I've never told my father about what I saw. But sometimes I think that whatever passed by that doorway that night wasn't lost or wandering. I think it was making rounds. Story No. 3. The overnight shift at a hotel is its own particular world. 3 a.m. to 7 a.m., 4 nights a week, alone at the front desk of a mid-size hotel in a mid-size city. Most nights nothing happens. Guests sleep. The building breathes. You drink bad coffee and watch the hours pass. I worked that shift for 2 years. In those 2 years, I had 3 experiences I've never been able to explain. I'll tell you all 3 in order. The first was in my 3rd month. A guest checked in late around 2 a.m. A woman traveling alone, quiet, paid cash, which was unusual but not unheard of. I gave her a room on the 4th floor and thought nothing more of it. At 4:17 a.m., the phone at the desk rang. It was her room number on the display. I answered. She asked, very calmly, if I could send someone up to ask the people in the hallway to keep it down. She said they'd been talking outside her door for over an hour. I told her I'd look into it. I checked the camera feed for the 4th floor hallway. The hallway was empty. Had been empty as far as I could tell from the footage, all night. I called her back and told her I didn't see anyone on the cameras. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "They're right outside my door. I can hear them clearly." Another pause. "Then they're talking about me." I sent a security guard up. He found nothing. She checked out at 5 a.m., 4 hours before her scheduled departure. She didn't ask for a refund, she just left. The second experience was about 8 months in. This one is harder to explain because it involves something I saw myself. I was doing a routine lobby check around 3:30 a.m., walking the ground floor, checking the side exits. Standard procedure. I came around the corner near the elevator bank and there was a man standing waiting for the elevator. Suit, briefcase, looking at his phone. Normal enough for a business hotel even at that hour. I said good evening. He didn't look up. The elevator came. He got in. The doors closed. I went back to the desk. I pulled up the guest list and ran through the occupied rooms. I cross-referenced the elevator camera. The camera showed the elevator arriving at the lobby, the doors opening, the doors closing, the elevator going up. No one had gotten on. The camera had a clear, unobstructed view of the elevator entrance. No one was standing there. No one got on. I watched that footage 4 times. Then I filed nothing, because I didn't know what I would write. The third experience was in my final month, and it's the one that made me decide not to renew my contract. It was a slow night, maybe 30% occupancy. Around 4 a.m. I was at the desk when I heard footsteps coming down the main staircase, not the elevator, the actual staircase off the lobby. Slow, measured footsteps, 1 flight down. I watched the staircase door. It didn't open. The footsteps reached the bottom of the stairs. I heard them stop at the landing and then nothing. I waited 2 full minutes. The door didn't open. No sound of anyone going back up. I propped the desk phone to ring if anything came through and walked to the staircase door. Opened it. The stairwell was empty. I looked up. Nothing. I looked at the landing directly in front of me. Nothing. But the temperature in the stairwell at that landing was noticeably different from the rest of the space. Not cold exactly, I know that's the cliché, but a very specific, very contained stillness, like the air in a room where someone was just standing. I went back to the desk and stayed there until my shift ended. 2 weeks later, I put in my notice. I work days now, a different industry entirely. The hotel is still there. It still has an overnight desk, and someone still sits behind it from 3 to 7, alone, 4 nights a week. I think about that person sometimes. I hope their nights are quiet